What's up YouTube, Dar here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you an anti-meta Synchron profile. Now what makes this deck so good is it can produce two ways of pretty much forcing your opponent to banish their monsters, and it can also produce power plays, defensive plays, you name it. The boards that this deck can produce with low resources is absolutely insane. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. If you'd like to see some test hands or some combos with this deck, then please make sure you smash that like button, get it to above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, and of course comment below to make sure that I am fully aware of exactly what you want to see. With all of that out of the way, we're going to dive head first into the profile. So we start off with pretty much the staple with inside the deck itself. So you've got your triple Stardust Synchron alongside your one Stardust Trail, triple Junk Synchron alongside your single Jet Synchron, and then of course you've got triple Junk Converter alongside one Cyverse Synchron. So you'll start to see the pattern here. Everything is coming in fours at the moment. And the reason we do that is because we also play triple Acasta Dawnwalker and the single Fire Ant. So all of these are power play engines. It's absolutely insane. So the Acasta on its own, discard a card, special summon itself from the hand and Ant from the deck, and that gives you into Chaos Ruler. So while this card is still legal, we are going to abuse the heck out of it. Your Junk Converter, if you have Stardust in the hand, you discard Junk Converter plus the Stardust, it gets you to the Junk Synchron, and straight off the back of that, you pretty much have full combo. You've got Chain Blocks for your Speeder, you name it. Jet Synchron is another amazing Synchron that we can now summon from the deck off of the back of Speeder, which is really, really important, especially with the fact that it can loop itself around. And when you set up the TG Librarian play, you can end up drawing like 7 or 8 cards. It's absolutely crazy. And the best thing about this deck is you can do so much without even conducting your normal summon. Then the other absolutely insane card is triple Doppel Warrior. So this is a little bit rocky at the moment purely because inside decks a lot of people are playing around with or are playing Token Collector, and that can really, really hurt the Doppel Warrior. The idea is that you kind of want to be able to, or when you synchro into Doppel Warrior, you're going to build your board anyway, or you're going to put your opponent in a position where it's like, okay, well, if you use Token Collector, I'm either going to be able to negate it and keep going because this card is not a once per turn, or I'm going to be able to pretty much use it, use your Token Collector against you, or continue to build my board without any form of interruption. Then we've got our extenders in the form of Jester Conflict and the Caligo Claw. That was a tongue twister. Caligo Claw Crow. So this is your level 2 extender, so Junk Warrior plus this, Junk Synchro plus this gives you Speeder, and then obviously Jester is a free extender that can be utilised with your Stardust Synchron for level 5 Synchro plays. It can use with your Junk to get you into level 4 Synchro plays, which is really important because you want Herald of the Art Light. The reason I've gone with 2 and 2 is because I kind of wanted, I like the balance between the two. Sometimes I want the 1, sometimes I want the 2. The fact that this can just be summoned for free and you can only control one of it, so you just constantly get rid of it. The fact that all of these, or pretty much the majority of these, can all be searched, apart from the Acasta engine, off of the back of the Chaos Ruler as well. And then the final card that's with inside the Synchro, or the generic Synchro plays, is of course the Destrudo. Like milling this, opening this up, it's just a free extender that can then get you into your 7s, your 5s, or anything you really need. Then the engine that makes this deck absolutely insane, and that is of course the Punk engine. So we are playing the smallest Punk engine around because you want to be getting it off of your E-Tellies. And why this card is at free, I have no idea. I'm not going to question it, I'm just going to abuse the heck out of it. The fact you can open up E-Telly, and E-Telly can get you all the way into your Chaos Ruler for free without even conducting your normal summon. It can then also get you into a Psychic End Punisher as well, all of for one card, in order to break boards on top of that. If you want to, the best thing about this is it does also give you the ability to revive a level 8, which can be useful because you can get a level 2 tuner on the board. You can go into a Baron the Floor and protect all of your plays going further forward. It's absolutely nutty what this engine actually brings to the deck. You can go more Punk if you wanted to, but I still wanted to maintain the core of Synchrons, which is why it is only a 6-card engine. If you want to make it more consistent, the deck is currently sitting at 43 cards. I would be looking at putting in Ghost Ogres, because by putting in Ghost Ogres, you've got more targets of your E-Telly, and it is a level 3 tuner. So that's pretty much it for all of the monsters. As you can see, I do not play hand traps. I kind of follow the route of my board is going to be near impossible to break, but I want to see all of my combo pieces in order to achieve that. And then I also look for, I can actually play so many one-card power cards that forces my opponent to interact that eventually I'll burn them out and then still be able to build a board all from one card. You've then got triple Synchron Overtake. So this can be a free extender, or it can be a free summon, a free search for Junk Synchron. Obviously, if you wanted to, you could put in the Jet extra deck monster. That is the biggest downside of this card, is you have to reveal a Synchron monster in your extra deck and choose a card or a Synchron that is specifically listed on it. So it means that you already use up one space in your extra deck that you're never really going to summon, or very rarely should even summon it, and that's kind of a downside. But the fact that it's either a special summon from deck or a search is absolutely insane. Triple tuning, sometimes the excavation is actually godlike, sometimes not so much, but the fact that this can get you to your Stardust if you need it, it can also get you to your Jet if you want it, and your Junk Synchron as your starter is absolutely mad. Board Breakers in the form of Forbidden Droplets, Board Protector in the form of the Magical Mid-Breaker Field, and then of course your standard one-ofs of Monster Reborn, Stardust Illumination, Call by the Grave, Foolish Burial, and Reinforcement of the Army. Now, obviously you can see there's 6 one-ofs when you include the Magical Mid-Breaker. They all serve a purpose in the deck, so obviously your Foolish Burial can send you a target for your Junk Synchron, it can also send you a Stardust, it can send you a Destrudo, you name it, you need it, you've got it. Illumination sends you the Trail, which sets you up your level 8 Synchro plays with your Stardust. Monster Reborn is Monster Reborn. Call by the Grave is Call by the Grave. And then, of course, your Reinforcement of the Army can search you out your Junk. It can also search you out your Doppel Warrior, and it can also, on top of that, search you out your Junk Converter. So you either get your starter, you get a way of setting up your graveyard, or you get the card that pretty much just loops you as many tokens as you could possibly need. So that's it for the main deck. The side deck is where you start to adapt a little bit more. And one of the things you might be missing is the Mare. Now, I've actually taken out the Mare, and I'll explain it once I get to the extra deck and kind of go over it. Yes, it is a way to play through Nibiru, but, and I'll continue that in a second. So for the extra deck, we've got the Psychic End Punisher. This is your big boss monster. Now, usually 9 out of 10, you probably don't even need to go in this going first. And what I mean by that is once you've built your going first board, unless they break it, you should have gained the next turn of what you already have on the board. But going second, the fact that this can be a one card, all come off of E-Telly, is absolutely nuts. It's so powerful. If you're already down life points because you've activated Z-Armin, it'll be in a really strong position. If you're desperately worried about any activated effects your opponent can play, then of course you can use your Z-Armin, make this guy, and then at least you've got a very powerful towers. Baron de Fleur, if you haven't got access to it, like this is one big thing that you do need for the deck. But if you haven't got access to it, I'm going to show you 3 cards that I've taken out that are usually staple in the deck. For the space of the other cards that I'll show you in a second as well. The one Hot Red Dragon Archfiend can actually come up really important because there will be times where if you get dropleted but they don't set a spell or trap, you can chain a spell or trap and then chain your Archfiend to negate, which is really important. And then the first part of the anti-meta, banish everything, protect you from droplets combo is the Shen Shen. Just through plays, I've actually found myself a lot of the time with the ability to actually make Shen Shen. And then off the top of that as well, what you got to remember is when your monster declares an attack, you get to return a banished monster to the graveyard. So the best thing about that is, like Omega, where during the standby phase he lets you recycle your Chaos Ruler, it can let you recycle your Stardust or your Trail, Shen Shen can actually do that on a more aggressive route as well. I mean, in your main phase 2 can produce more defensive and more extensive boards. But the fact that any monster sent from the field to the graveyard is banished means that your opponent could not just normal summon a monster and then activate Droplet. Send in that monster specifically. When you combo this off with the other card that I'll show you a little bit later on, your opponent will never resolve Droplet, and I'll explain exactly how. Obviously, Chaos Ruler, this card, I would not be surprised if it did get banned on the ban list because at the moment it's just such a nutty card for any Synchro deck or any deck that can make it that plays Lights and Darks. It's absolutely mad. Crystal Wing, so if you can't get to Barone early enough, then you go to Crystal Wing instead. Dawn Dragster is another substitute that I've added in, so you can see the 3 substitutes here as are the ones not in the boarded sleeves. So you've got your Dawn Dragster, you've got your Psychic End Punisher, and of course you've got your Shen Shen. The reason I went with Dawn Dragster is I did it over Yazi, and the reason I did that is because a lot of the combos going first, you want to be making, you'd rather Dawn Dragster than Yazi. It's entirely up to you. It does just give you a spell and trap negate, but the reason that I did a spell negate, No, it's spelled try and negate, sorry. The reason that I did Yazi, or took Yazi out for this, is because Yazi is great going second, and it's great going first if you get Nibiru'd. It's very rare, and sometimes it does happen that people are main decking Nibiru, but I feel in the format that we're coming up to, a lot less people are actually going to be main decking Nibiru, heck, even siding it. So I feel that the reliance on this card becomes less and less, and the ability to negate a spell or trap actually becomes more important, especially if they're going to try and evenly you, or they're going to try and talent you, or even lightning storm you. Axel Synchron, obviously very important in this deck as well, to be able to adapt its level, send a Synchron to the graveyard, and then be a tuner as well. Junk Warrior is the one that you should very rarely, if ever, summon, but you need him in here because he does list Junk Synchron on its text. Junk Speeder, this is the card that you want to protect at all costs. Yes, you can chain block it from Ash quite easily. You do need to be wary of stuff like Veilers and Imperms, and that's where you try and bait them out and bring them out. Considering when you look at the E-Telly engine and the Dustwalker engine, both of those are cards that can get you to a Chaos Ruler without a normal summon, and usually Chaos Ruler will normally demand that you Imperm or Veiler it, and that's where the Punk engine comes in, because you can go Chain Link 1, the Dark Ruler, Chain Link 2, the Punk to revive, and that's how you can chain block, protect him from an Ash. And there is also a very interesting interaction where if you've already got Doppel Warrior in the hand, or if you are feeling extra risky and you feel that you could mill it off of the Chaos Ruler, you could go Chainlink 1, the Foxy Tune, the Deer Note, and Chainlink 2, the Chaos Ruler. So then Chaos Ruler would excavate at top 5 and add a card to your hand, and then resolving Chainlink 1 would resolve bringing back Armin, and that would then trigger the Doppel Warrior on the next chain as it's come back, I believe. If I'm wrong with that one, then you would just keep it normal chains, but if it does work that way, busted. TG Hyper Librarian, the fact you can draw like 5, 8, like just replenish your hand is mad. And then the second part of the combo, or the second part of the board that is basically anti-droplets, is Herald of Art Light. Now, Herald says any monster sent from the deck or hand to the grave is banished instead. Shenshed says from the field is banished. So because you cover the hand and the field, it means their droplets cannot be activated in order to stop you responding with a monster effect. So they would have to go droplet, send at least 2 spells from their hand, which means they'll be playing with 3 cards in their hand left, in order just to negate these 2. Your end board should also have a Baron on it, and could possibly even sometimes have a Crystal Ring, depending on how nutty your hand is. So if that's then only them negating those 2, they still have 3 cards to try and play around a Crystal Ring and a Baron. If they try and send anything else, you can just, if you really want to negate it and you want to keep your Shen negate alive, or your Herald negate live, you could technically Herald negate it, you could Baron negate it, because they won't be able to send a monster, which is absolutely insane. And then for those of you questioning why that is, Droplet sends us cost, and as I've said in a previous video, anything that sends to a specific location as cost must reach that destination. So because the monsters cannot be sent as cost to go to the graveyard, because they would actually be banished, they cannot be sent off of droplets, which is insane. Cupid Pitch, Metal Marcher, and of course Celestio Double. All pretty straightforward and simple in the standard lineup. The only thing that is really out of the ordinary is, of course, the Dawn Dragster, the Psychic End Punisher, and the Shen. So I'll show you the 3 cards that I took out for those. Obviously, I've already mentioned that the Dawn Dragster is the Yazi, and you can put Meme in the main if you want to make it a 54 card. But I thought, if anything, I can make this a go second card, because that's probably when Nibiru is going to come in for my opponent. Like game 3, Nibiru is coming in. Or and also game 2, if I know I'm going to go second, I put Yazi in, because the ability to make Yazi and then just pretty much trigger its effect to deal with 1-on-1 and then get a Mare can be really, really important and powerful. Cyclone World Omega came out for the Shen. The Recycle effect was really, really great, but they both do the same thing. The only loss of Omega is you do get to level 8s very, very consistently and very quickly. And then when you can see we only actually have 2 level 8 targets in the deck, one of them needs to be made with a Synchro. So you're only ever going to be making 1 level 8. But that's where your Foxy Tune plays can be adapted to go to a level 8 or a level 11 as well. And then not to mention whatever else you have on the board can unlock your 5s and everything like that. And then the Charge Warrior went in place of the Psychic End Punisher. Obviously not a like for like trade, but you can kind of see that I went with power rather than that additional draw. Sometimes this is important because you do get stuck where you can only go to a level 6 and you want that draw that can then go into a level 9. So it really depends on your playstyle and your environment. If your environment is saying, well, hey, I'm actually maining Nibiru's, then you probably go for Yazi, and you could probably take out the Psychic End Punisher or the Virtual World. If you are always seeing droplets, then you can put in your Shenzhens. It's entirely up to you. That's what I love about this deck, is it does have its staple spine and kind of like core cards, but then it opens itself up for creativity and adaptiveness depending on the meta and what you want to play. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope this has given you a couple of ideas on your own build, a couple of updates for your own build as well. I really, really love Synchrons. I'm so glad that they got recent support, and on top of that, all of it should be getting reprinted in the upcoming Megatins. So, well, I say all of it, all the new stuff will be reprinted in the Megatins. Junk Converter has just been reprinted, and so has a Caster Dawnwalker as well. So there's a lot for you to work with, and there's a lot for you to kind of adapt and do what you need to. So yeah, it's a great deck. I thoroughly enjoy it. If you're a 5Ds fan, I highly advise trying to pick this engine up, or this deck up in general. Like I said, with Barons, you can go for a cheaper option. You just adapt the way you're playing. But everything else you should be able to pick up quite easily. And most of it has had recent reprints, if not multiple common prints as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.